Hey everybody, it's Natalie with Treasures of Mini. This is the card we're going to make today, only we're going to do a different color scheme, I guess is the right word. So, we're not going to be stamping at all to make this card. We're going to be using this Little Bee bouquet die set, and we're going to use some Brusho watercolors. Now, if you do not have Brusho, you can use regular watercolor, but I got these for Christmas and I've been wanting to use them. If you look real close at my water right here, it kind of has a pearlescent look to it. That's because I added some of the Nouveau paste that came in the Simon Says Stamp March card kit. I just added it to my clean water and stirred it up real good, and it's letting the water that I put down on my watercolor paper here look real shiny and pretty. So this is a piece of just cheap, I think it's like the Canson XL watercolor paper. I just cut it to a size I thought would be sufficient. And I'm using the Brusho to make some different kind of color areas, because I'm going to use this to cut the flowers out. So I knew that I wanted it to be kind of blues and yellows and purples. So I wet the area that I'm working with really well with that shimmered water and my paintbrush, and then I drop in some of the Brusho, and then I even spray it even some more with a mister bottle. Here I wanted kind of some purple and yellow mix, but I was really not wanting brown, so I just moved it around a tiny bit, and you can see here in the dried one, I actually was able to get it without it turning brown. So in this Little Bee set, you get to cut out the main part of the shape of the flower, and then it also has an inlay where it cuts out kind of like the outline of the different petals. So with this piece that I made right here, I'm just kind of, you can see, cutting out all the like solid parts of the flower. And now I'm going to turn around and do the same thing that I did with the blues, but I'm going to use greens and yellows, and this will be for the greenery, like the leaves and stuff like that. You can see I'm misting it with a spray bottle, and I know I'm going through this fast because this card did take a little bit, but I'm not rubbing my paintbrush over the entire area. I'm just dabbing it just to kind of move some of the color around. And you can see as I spray it and as it moves and activates, it starts just making like really cool little designs. And here it is dry. And this is the greenery that came in the Little Bee set. And I'm just going to cut out a whole bunch of that as well. So you can see I did 3 of each of the big ones and 2 of the small ones. Now I want to cut out the outlines that are going to go over this. But in order to do that, I'm going to just take a piece of Nina Solar White cardstock, and I'm going to cut out the big part of the flower, as many as I have. And then you can see I have the little part on the inside that is going to make the individual petals. I just kind of line it up over it, and I'm using some washi tape to tape it down, and then I run it through my Big Shot, and now you can see how it will lay over it. But I didn't want to leave these just white, so I've put a little dot of Tombow Mono on the back of each of the flowers, and I let it dry. When you let it dry, it becomes tacky. So once it was dry, I put it on another piece of Nina Solar White, and I put it in my spritz box. And I'm just going to spritz a bunch of random colors, yellows, blues, and purples, all over the little outline parts. I really hope this is making sense, because I really don't know what to call these. You've got a 2-part flower here. I guess we have the outline one and we have the solid image. Now it was a little bright, so on the very last part I went back over it with just some shimmer mist just to kind of tone it down. And when it's dry, you can take your outlines off and you have your outline parts, but then you also have more flowers that it made on the scrap piece. So with the same dies, I'm going to cut those out. You can see I cut them all out, and I'm setting them aside. Now with the outline parts that we made, we're going to put a little bit of dots of Tombow just in the center. I don't want to glue it completely down. I want it to have some dimension. And I'm going to line it up over the solid part. And I've already done them all here, and this is what we have. Now for the ones that I made on the scrap piece paper by accident, I took some shimmer white paper and I cut out the little outlines again, and I glued them over the top just like I did with the colorful ones. Now, to start building the card, you need a piece of white cardstock at 5¼ by 4 and another piece at 4¼ by 3. And I put a little dot of Tombow and let it dry so it's tacky. And I centered that on the card base. Now I'm going to put it in this embossing folder and make sure it's all kind of lined up and straight, and I'm going to run that through my Big Shot. So here it is. I would recommend that you erase the measurement before you do that, but I think I can save it. And then because we waited for the Tombow to dry, I can pull them off of each other. So now I want a top folding card at 4¼ by 11, scored at 5½, and another piece that is 4½ by 3¼ So it's a 1/4 inch bigger than the embossed panel. And I am going to glue this part right over the smaller one, and I'm going to glue the bigger one onto my card base. And I'm using Tombow Mono. You can use any adhesive you want. The Tombow Mono will let stuff be sticky when it dries though. So now I want to pop this up, but I want to leave that top corner without any pop dots on it, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So don't worry, I haven't glued them all down. The way I like to do it when I am trying to arrange a floral is to just put them on there the way that I think they're going to want to be. And then I'm going to pick it up and move it to the side. And now you can see that these flowers that are underneath, this is the way that I'm going to want them arranged. So I'm going to carefully just take them off by layers. And now you can see this is exactly where I need to glue down my greenery. So with some Tombow, I'm going to pick up one piece at a time and glue it down. Now right here, I'm not tracing it with a pencil because I have two right next to each other, so it was really easy to tell where it needs to go. But you will notice throughout the video, you're going to see me take a pencil and very lightly kind of draw around it in a part that I know it's going to be covered up. So when I pick the leaf up to put glue on it, I know exactly where to glue it back down. And this is just a process of building it back up. And that's also why, even when I put the dimensionals on the back of the smaller panel, I didn't take the backing off of it because I wasn't ready to glue it down, but I needed to see how it was going to go together. And now I'm going to glue in my biggest flower, and I'm not popping this one up, I'm just gluing this one straight down. But the two smaller flowers I am going to put up on some of those Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. And you'll see me do that right here, but again, I don't take the backing off of it yet because I want to make sure that I have them exactly where I want them before I do that. As you can see now I feel pretty confident. So this is the first layer. And now I'm going to carefully bring back over this smaller panel, and I'm going to make sure that I have them adjusted the way that I want them. And then I'm going to slowly take everything off. And you can see here I'm going around with my pencil so that I know where everything has to be. And then I'm going to glue it all back down. And you can't see these pencil lines. As long as you do it on the part that it's going to be under other flowers, it's perfectly fine to do this. Excuse me. And since doing all that, I kind of forgot how my flowers went, so I'm just going to put them back on again and kind of play with them a little bit and decide. And then start gluing everything down. And since that one wasn't touching anything, I went on and glued it down. And these I'm also gluing. I'm not popping these up. But this one and the bigger one I am going to pop up. And I'm only putting it on this one end because it hangs off the card and I didn't want it to stick to the part below. Now, because the big flower was glued down, I can put a dimensional right there. But the two smaller flowers are already popped up on dimension. So that's why I don't have that top corner full of the dimensionals. Because those flowers that are popped up will actually touch this panel. So I just want to make sure that where those flowers were set, you don't put any kind of a dimensional there. So now I'm ready to take the backs off. You can see where these two flowers set, there's no dimensionals. And now I'm going to do my best to line this up to make sure that the lines carry through. See how when we send it in the embossing folder, we want to make sure those lines match up. Now with the same yellow piece I did, I ran another piece through with the embossing folder, and with this Stampin' Up! Butterfly die, this is the set, it comes with these two dies, I cut out that butterfly from some of that spritz paper that we made for the outlines of the flowers. And I'm going to carefully cut out this butterfly that was on the embossed piece. And that was supposed to be Daffodil Delight that I went around with that butterfly, and it was, but I picked up the wrong sponge, so it came out orange. So I'm going to cut the butterfly at those little tick marks that I made, and with a little bit of Tombow and some tweezers, I'm going to very carefully slide this bottom part of the butterfly up under this card, because I want the butterfly to carry over to the next one just like the embossed image does. And then I'm going to line the top part up right over it. So you can see how it looks like it's on both different pieces. And then with the Stampin' Up! Butterfly die we cut out, I'm just going to put Tombow in the center of the butterfly and then line it up. Now with this little bee handwritten words, I took the hello and I cut it out with some craft foam, a navy blue piece and a yellow piece, and I stacked those up on each other and then glued them down to the card. And now I'm just going around and kind of filling in some spots with the leftover greenery and flowers that I have that I just think look like they need a little more something there. And I think I absolutely love this card. I'm not sure which one I like better. Okay, with the Nouveau drops, I am going to add some little details to the center of the flowers and to the butterfly. And while I was doing this, I got to looking at the embossed image with the butterflies and the little swirlies and dots that are on the white part, and I decided that I thought it would look really pretty if I took the Nouveau drops and just put them right over the raised little circles that the embossing folder did on when we embossed it. I'm sorry, I think this really sounds jumbled up and messed up. I think you guys, I told you my surgery's next week and it's just been kind of crazy. But here's our card, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this today, and please give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe. I think I'm going to be able to do one more video before my surgery, and then it's probably going to be a few weeks. I will let you know that I did put this in a regular envelope. It fits just fine. I would probably put 2 stamps on it maybe just because it's a little heavy. But here it is, and I think this is so gorgeous, and you didn't need a single stamp set. Remember, I also have another channel called Paved with Fruit that you can visit me on as well. You can also find me on Facebook at Treasures of Mini Craft Corner. Until next time, hugs and loves. Bye.